Welcome back in, podcast audience, YouTube audience. Another day, another victory for the OGs. You know what I'm saying? It's Jordan. It is Will. If you didn't understand that reference, we have very different algorithms. And we're going to talk about the Vikings and the Chicago Bears. If you're getting a little bit of deja vu, it's because we just did this show like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And this is what we said. Similar to yesterday's show, earlier in the show, when I was like, hey, the Sam Darnold conversation is just the Cousins conversation, but remasked. It's the same thing. The Bears suck. They're not very good. We expect to win this game. They don't look very good. But now, just take all of that and like add to it, like multiply it by 2, because they fired Eberflus. They suck harder. They are a worse football team. They didn't get the, oh no, they fired their head coach and now they look competent like Vegas got last year and fooled idiots like me into thinking they'd be a playoff team this season. No, they said, oh no, we fired Eberflus, now the defense sucks and the offense still isn't great and Caleb's still making dumb decisions. Will, let's just be blunt here. Is this game going to overtime and are the Vikings going to have to win in how lynching fashion for Bears fans and, how stopping fashion for Vikings?
It better not. And I say that with all due respect for the Chicago Bears. They have a talented roster. I mean, they've got decent players. It's not like they're the UFL, last place team every Sunday. They have some guys who are maybe going to be in Canton. I mean, Keenan Allen comes to mind. I mean, they have a decent roster. Problem is, it's kind of old. A lot of their good players aren't, on the younger springier side. And they got some injuries right now. But they got a few guys that were out last week. I have not checked where they're at coming out of that game into this one, but they're not the healthiest, and they are going backwards. They've lost 7 in a row. Yes, that is correct. 7 in a row. They lost by about 50 to 49ers on Sunday. I don't know if you saw this, Jordan. There was a point in the game where the 49ers had over 300 yards of offense and the Bears had 2.
That can't be real. That can't be real.
It is real. The Bears at halftime, they had played 2 quarters. This was not just, a couple bad drives. Bears had 5 possessions. 4 of them were 3 and outs. The other one was a 5 and out, so they got 1 first down. They had 17 plays, so do the math on that. 4 3 and outs and a 5. And they had 4 yards of offense at halftime. 4. As old as my eldest child. 4.
So the first down had to have been a penalty then.
Well, they had a bunch of negative plays. They had sacks and all that nonsense.
Okay.
They had some drives that were 3 plays for -7 yards. It was not good. Now, like I said, this team has some playmakers, and they've got some players on defense. And we like Kyler Gordon. We like what's the Johnson guy? He's really good, the cornerback.
Yeah.
They've got some decent players, but they have not been able to figure it out. They're not going in the right direction. The Vikings all week are going to do the right thing. They're going to prepare. They're going to say the right things. They're going to respect this team. It's a division game. Every division game is hard. Harder than it should be. That's why teams like the Browns can beat the Steelers. It's just things happen, and bad teams beat good teams because they're division rivals. So you don't take this game lightly. I think it'll probably be closer than we want it to be. But this team is going the absolute wrong direction. They kind of look cooked. I don't know if they're officially eliminated. They're probably not officially eliminated yet, but they are, they could be by Monday night.
Yeah.
And it's quite the sad ending to a season that Bears fans, if you asked them on September 5th, as the NFL season was starting, how do you feel about your team? There might have been a couple who said, we're going to the Super Bowl, like Nick Wright from First Things First. But most of them would have said, I think we're going to be good. I think we'll make the playoffs. I was one of those people. And, I think it's going to be an exciting year with lots of hope. The season has given them nothing of that other than that they most likely have their quarterback. Everything else, it's still the Bears.
Hey, there was that really cool graphic that showed, I think, in week 5, where like all of the NFC North was above 500. And then Chicago said, "Oh yeah, then
Yeah.
we're not going to win a game the rest of the season."
Hold my beer.
And they haven't won since, cuz I remember seeing that graphic and they had 4 wins. And here we sit, it's almost Christmas and they still have 4 wins. So like you said, we're making fun of Chicago, division rival, little brother, whatever, blah blah blah. You got to take this team seriously, like you said. NFL talent. Caleb Williams kind of played incredible against the Vikings the last time they played. They still have DJ Moe. They still have Keenan Allen. They still have Roma Dunze. Like they are potent. But I do think it is. I'm going to take a victory lap because I feel like I didn't take a big enough victory lap after the last Chicago game. Everyone in the offseason, whether you said they were winning the division or going to the Super Bowl, anything like that, everyone talked about Chicago. Oh my gosh, they got Caleb. Oh my gosh, they traded for Keenan out. This offense is going to be crazy. And the defense was so good. It's going to be crazy. This is going to be such a complete, well-rounded team. And it's been a complete, well-rounded piece of crap. Like, the offense just cannot get going. And Caleb just holds onto the ball forever. And he just waits. And it's like every play has to be, ESPN top 10. And he wants to be number 5 or higher. Like, it just, he can't just say, what's the play design? Oh, you're going to use DJ Moe as a decoy so a Dunze can come across this way wide open. No, he has to say, I'm going to run around for 10 seconds and make a crazy play. Which, look, he cooked the Vikings doing that the last time they played. He ran around for 10 seconds and, the Vikings defense was unable to contain him. And I'm going to admit my anxieties here. Stephon Gilmore, who knows if he's going to play? I think it's leaning like yes, but there's no guarantees. It's kind of that thumb in the 3 o'clock position. Yeah, probably, but even if he does play, no Ivan Pace. How are you going to contain Caleb? Because you don't get that interior pass rush that kind of makes him like immediately like, oh crap. So the Vikings have some problems with playing QBs like Caleb Williams, and the Bears exposed that earlier. But what kind of puts those anxieties to rest for me is the way that the offense looked against them. And the Bears defense is supposed to be, holy cow, what a great unit, what an absolute unstoppable force, whatever. The Vikings offense looked pretty solid, I think, against Chicago, and maybe the overtime drive helped those stats out a lot. But, now the Vikings, it's not TJ Hawkinson playing 20% of the snaps. It's TJ Hawkinson being an every down factor. It's Jordan Addison, who is on the hottest streak of his young career. It's Justin Jefferson, who just got a taste of the end zone for the first time in 8 weeks, and I don't think wants to stop after seeing Jamar Chase go for 2 touchdowns last week on Monday Night Football. It just has the feeling. Look, Jefferson might get triple teamed every play again, but I think Addison, Hawkinson, Jones, and I don't know, Josh Oliver will be able to just absolutely ball out. This is my question to you, Will. Do you expect Sam not to have 5 touchdowns, but do you expect Sam to continue this level of play this week? Or do you think there's a cliff coming and there might be a 1 touchdown, 2 or 3 interception day in Sam's future that could potentially tank this game? Because if it's going to happen, I feel like it's going to be this week or next week.
I don't think it's coming.
Oh, wow.
I think he has been the model of consistency this year. I think people, and you talked about this on the last show, I think people can point to that mid-season streak where it was Indy, Jacksonville, and he wasn't great against the Rams. Kind of Tennessee. Those 3 or 4 games, let's call it 3.5. He wasn't great. Everything else this season, he's been fantastic. Passer rating is not a perfect stat, but the fact that he has been over 100 in 11 out of 13 games is unbelievable. And that spells consistency. And I am not someone who cares a whole lot about whether it's a touchdown pass or a touchdown run. I understand that passer rating cares about that sort of thing, so that's probably partly why Darnold's numbers have been so good. But the benefit that Sam Darnold provides to this team is that they have struggled running the ball in the red zone, and he is someone that has been finding the end zone constantly and consistently. And so, no, I mean, to your question, I don't think a cliff is coming. I think there could be a game here where he maybe has an 88 passer rating or a 96 passer rating. It's more just good or fine. He's not going to be at 110 every game, or maybe he is, but I think if anything, I expect that more in Seattle. Week 17 or whatever, 16. I think that is maybe the game where the challenge might be. Long road trip, short week. Seattle is gross to play in December. It's a good defense. That worries me a little more than on a roll, at home, whiteout game, Monday night. Time to stamp your ticket to the playoffs. That, to me, I don't think it's going to happen this week.
I like that. I think that, you talking about him coming down to earth, I'm disappointed in you, Will. We just got done with the Cousins Bowl. You should have said he might have a Cousins game here soon where he has like a 79-80 passer rating and, he throws for like 1 or 2 touchdowns and, it's an okay game, but nothing spectacular because that's a Kirk Cousins game if I've ever heard one. The shade, gotta get it in there, okay? Really quick, this is off topic. I gotta point out, we did feels good, feels bad earlier in the show, or earlier in the week. I gave Sam Darnold a game ball, and he goes out there and has the greatest game since I was 7. I mean, the greatest game of my adult life as a Vikings QB. What do we do? A little bit of, I know I picked the Vikings to lose that game officially, but I did say they were going to win. I said, I think they're going to win, but for the sake of the points.
Ultimate hedge.
Yeah, ultimate hedge. I'm down 35, by the way, in the points. I'm down
That's over.
basically a Vikings blowout. So maybe I picked them to lose by 70 in this one, and that just absolutely swings it back. But no, it feels like I'm cooked in that direction. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a pick here. I can't pick the Vikings to lose. I want to. I want to keep on this streak because I think the Vikings, unfortunately, have a slip-up coming. The Vikings, everyone said, the first half of the schedule is difficult, and then the second half is kind of the easy part. But if you break it down into, quarters, it was, difficult, kind of difficult, easy, and now it's back to difficult because it's Chicago and Seattle who are it's Chicago and then it's playoff team. So it's going to be a tough road for the Vikings. I'm going to pick them to win this one, extend the win streak to 7, I think now. It would be a 7-game win streak. The Bears, win a whiteout, wear white to the game. It has a very, prime time chance to make a statement. The last time you were in prime time, I believe it was the Indy game, wasn't it? Yeah, so you didn't play your best football in the first half, though. I think they play a complete game. I think they come out. I'm going to say Caleb gives the defense some fits, but not to the tune of the Rams and the Bills going 42-44 or whatever it was. I'm going to say the Vikings win this one. We're going to go 37 to, the offense is rolling right now. We're going to go 37-27. We're going to say a 10-point win. Caleb does put up, a decent amount of points, but the Vikings offense is just absolutely rolling. I think there's a few Caleb Williams mistakes in there, and I'm going to say 10 of those Bears points are scored late. This game is like a 3 or 4 possession game, and then the Bears get some comeback time. This just, everything in my gut says this is going to be a blowout, which I usually go against my gut. I'm sticking with it. In terms of a game ball, I have somebody on the defense, and I want to go with Grenard, but he kind of got the game ball in the first Chicago game, in real life. We didn't give it to him. O'Connell did because he had the sack in OT. I went with Ginkle the last time I had defense. This is really difficult. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Cam Beasy for my game ball. I think he's been, even if he doesn't get a turnover, if someone does, there will be a cool dance. So I'm going to go with Beasy doing something cool for a celebration of an interception. I mean, I don't know what well he can go to at this point. He's done the Parent Trap. He's done White Chicks. He's done the Olympics. I really don't know. What I would love to see is him take a 15-yard penalty for having baby powder hidden somewhere in the end zone and do like a LeBron ritual or something. That would be peak for me. Is if I want to see him do a prop and get a penalty. And the coaches be like, we knew about it. We were okay with it. Like, something really fun. Ocho Cinco with the cell phone. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff. Oh, Marshawn Lynch with the Skittles. So, that'll be me. I'll let you give your game pick. I'll give my final thoughts, and then I'll let you take us home. Sound like a plan?
I'm sorry, Jordan. This is the score I've had, you know, all day. It's not just to keep the score predictions close here. I got Vikings 29, Bears 20. It's I actually think that this game is probably going to be closer than we want it to be. Now, I don't think it's going to require a touchdown at the end to win the game or something, but I think more what I would see is a scenario where Vikings are up in this score case 29-14. Bears get a touchdown, miss the 2-point conversion. That's what I would that's what I see more of as maybe how this game sort of ends. I think it'll be competitive though. I think Chicago they're feisty when they want to be, and they play division teams tough. I did not check. I mean, they lost to the Packers by 1. They lost to us in overtime. They probably got destroyed by the Lions. Have they played the Lions yet? Oh no, they lost to the Lions on Thanksgiving by 3.
Yeah, and it was that's the Eberflus game. That was
yeah. I mean, they're playing the division tough, even if they've found a new and unique way to lose every single game. So, I can't sit here and confidently say it's going to be a blowout. But I do think it'll be a little more comfortable than a 1-score nail biter like it was in overtime. That was a weird game too. The Vikings were clearly the better team in Chicago. My game ball, I'm going to go Josh Oliver. I wanted to go Hawkinson because I kind of felt the other two big guns went off on Sunday. It's his turn this Sunday with how this offense is rolling. But I think two things are going to happen. I think Josh Oliver is going to get another touchdown. And I also think that his presence in the run game is going to be a big determining factor in this game. He did not play in Chicago the first time these teams played. And now, the offense still had a day. Aaron Jones had over 100 yards on the ground. Hawkinson and Addison both went for 100 in the air. But I think Josh Oliver's presence in the run game, which is always good, now that he's back, I think that's going to be a big help for this team. He seems to show up when it matters. So, Oliver, game ball, Vikings 7th straight win.
I love that. I love that we are both picking. I'm going to point something out, and this is not me throwing shade at you. But you have not picked the Vikings to lose a game since Houston.
That is correct.
Which is, again, not throwing shade at you. I think it speaks to, don't highlight my 2 losses that I've picked that ended up being
I'm just highlighting no, I'm not. That's just random clicks.
Yeah. For those of you that are keeping track, although I think it may just be you and me that keep track of this religiously well, I've been off by 157 points in my picks this season. Will has been off 122. What really did me in, I think, was this Falcons game, where it was like it's just been steadily growing every week for Will, like 2-3 points every week. And then I tried to get back in it with the Falcons game, and that definitely did me dirty. Will has predicted the Vikings. His picks have been 10-3. I've been 7-6, so I'm fighting for a spot in the playoffs if I'm an NFL team, and Will is like the second or third best team in the conference. So he is definitely on fire. And that, again, that wasn't me throwing shade at you. That was just me. The Vikings really have played good football, and that's going to be my final thoughts tonight. Is they really have, I'm looking at the results here, and it's been, a 3-possession win. Dominant win over San Francisco that ended up being a 6-point win, but they were up 2 possessions, and it came down to an onside. Like a 27-point shellacking of Houston, which, like, look, I know Houston's not what everyone thought they were going to be this season, but, man, they're good. And I'm not going to do every game, but, like, Green Bay came down to an onside, like, how many of these games that we have won have come down to like we have a 2-possession lead with a minute to go in the game, and they just kind of scout to make it look closer than it really was. It's kind of been a crazy season, although the last few weeks have felt not Atlanta, but before that it started feeling like 2022 all over again, where it was just I didn't think my Hout was going to make it. And then they did what they did against Atlanta. So I'd love to see them keep that momentum. I'd love to see them absolutely steamroll Chicago and then beat Seattle in probably a close game on the road, and then just stare down 2 division games with Green Bay and Detroit. And, we talked about this earlier. Detroit's got 3 games on the schedule of the remaining 4. They play Buffalo this week. They play San Francisco, and they play the Vikings. And we need to beat them, and we need them to lose 1 or 2 of those to get us in the 1 seed. Not to get us in the playoff, to get us the 1 seed. This is a fun fact. The Vikings have been the 1 seed a single time in my life, and it was when I was a single year old. It was 98. They were the 1 seed. It was cool. Every other time I've seen the Vikings have this level of success, they've always been like a 2 or 3 seed. Or they've always been a 2 seed, really. I would really love. I mean, man, that would be nice to see an NFC Championship game in Minnesota.
It would be huge. It'd be huge also just because, like you were talking about earlier, I don't know if it was on this show or the prior one, just about the reality of having to go on the road. And the Vikings are a good road team.
Yeah.
They have been a good road team with Kevin O'Connell, but road playoff games are no fun. And you do not want to go play the Rams. I know the Rams' home field advantage is different than Seattle's or Philadelphia's, but you don't want to go on the road where you got the other teams in their comfort zone. It's not what you want. We can talk about the playoff format for another day. I personally hate that the Vikings and the Packers, frankly, are going to have to be, road playoff teams in round 1. I think that's criminal. But it's just it's the nature of the beast right now. So
I agree. I like the
Yeah.
playoff structure, and that's something that gets debated every year, because every year there's like a 8-win team that wins a division, and they host a 12-win wild card team, and it's like, this doesn't seem fair. And it's like, well, I don't know. I appreciate it. I do like that you get a home. You play your division, and it makes these games against Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit. It makes them that much more important, because you really need to win your division. And it sucks that the Vikings are having they're having a very good season, but Detroit just happens to be having the best season of their entire franchise. That really sucks. But look, they're banged up. I think they're vulnerable. Buffalo, San Fran, Minnesota. Detroit loses 3 of their last 4. The Vikings can be the 1 seed. Give it to him. I mean, just come on, man. Come on. Sam Darnold, NFC Championship game in Minnesota. Who we playing in the championship game? It doesn't matter. All right? It doesn't matter. Okay? Wear the winner whiteouts in the playoffs. That's my final take. Follow the show. You guys know what to do. All that bullcrap.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball for my final thoughts.
Uh-oh.
I want your take on if you think the Minnesota Vikings or your Notre Dame Fighting Irish have a better chance of winning their respective league this season.
Like a championship?
championship.
I think it's Notre
More
Dame.
likely that
College football. I heard a really good. I think it was Joel Klatt did a really good breakdown on his like playoff reaction show, talking about, or maybe it was Cowherd on his show. One of them had a really good take on the college football like landscape, where he was talking about how like they don't have the depth like Bama, Georgia. They don't have 3 NFL caliber left tackles anymore. Because if you're not stouting, you go to Notre Dame. Or you go to SMU. You know, like you go stout somewhere. And so the whole league has, like all of the NCAA has a lot more parity. So I think Notre Dame has a better shot just because like the defense is really good. I think they're relatively healthy. They can run the ball really well. But that is not a slight at my beloved Vikings because I'm more of a Vikings guy than I am an Irish guy. But it is also, I think that Detroit lately has not looked like buku, holy cow. I think the Vikings have looked more impressive the last few weeks than Detroit has. Philadelphia looks like a problem. And I know they just had like a struggling win this past week, but man, when they play like a good team, they look like the better team, and it's not usually close. They play Baltimore, and it looks like they're playing a different game. They're about to play Pittsburgh, and it would not shock me if they just absolutely dominate Pittsburgh the way that they dominated Baltimore, because they are. It looks like they are playing a different game. Like they're so physical and they're so nasty, and that's one of the reasons why I want them in US Bank Stadium rather than having to go to Philadelphia and get tush pushed into oblivion by Jalen Hurts and that squad. So I'd have to go with the Irish.
I think that's a reasonable take. The way I see it, I mean, I don't know what the odds are, but I think, those two teams you could probably compare of, odds, chances to win their championships.
They're sleepos.
We got a big. What's that?
I said they're both sleepos. Like
They are both sleepers. Yep. We got a big game on Monday. It's not a standalone game, actually. There is a second Monday night game. It's actually Kirk O'Chains against the Raiders, I believe, which, what are we doing with that? But, I mean, maybe the NFL thought they were going to the playoffs, like some of my podcast co-hosts.
I'd stand by it. They should have.
We'll talk next week after hopefully another Vikings win to get ready for slobbery and slippery Seattle. Skull y'all.